Hello, everybody. Tim Hughes here. I'm the CEO and co-founder of DLA Ignite. With me today, I've got Mo Kanjilal. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking about inclusion, diversity, and how to start a journey to get your organization to be more inclusive and more diverse. Mo, we always start by asking the same question. Where can people find you?
Yes, so our website is watchthispace.uk, and on social media, I'm at Mo Kanjilal. So that's Kanjilal. And if you want to email us, it's hello@watchthispace.uk.
So I can't hold it up because I don't have a copy, but I've read a soft copy of your book, which is excellent. Which for those that might be just listening, they can't see the video, is behind Mo's head, which is called The Inclusion Journey.
That's right.
So congratulations on the book.
Thank you. It's very exciting.
I'm sure. Another Kogan Page author.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
So tell us, what was the inspiration behind the book?
So my business partner, Allegra Chapman, and we founded our business, Watch This Space, during the pandemic. And it was because we'd both had, I know not a great time to start a business, but we'd both had experiences in workplaces where we'd experienced discrimination. We'd seen a lot of other people had experienced that. We knew there was a lot of things that employers could do. And we'd already been working on different things around that. We ran a community group for women in tech. So in the 2020 lockdown, we said, well, look, we've got some time. We can't leave the house. Why don't we try starting this business? So that was the start of our business. And right at the beginning, we had a list of things we wanted to achieve. And they were things like, we want to win an award. We want some things to happen. And one of them was we want to write a book, because both of us are writers. Since we were children, we've wanted to write a book. And so we had this idea, and it's an idea that's been building in the 4 years that we've been running the business, because we create a lot of content. So we had the idea. And then a year ago, we were approached by Kogan Page, who said, would you like to write a book? And we said, yes, we really would like to write a book. So that's how it happened. And we decided to go ahead with quite a quick publication date. So we wrote the book fairly quickly. So we wrote it between October and February, so that it's ready for release this year. Yeah, so it was ready for release this year, because anyone who's written a book knows there's quite a lot of things you have to do to actually get the book to publication.
So so the book, I've read the book and I think it's excellent. I mean, it's for anybody that wants to start who believes in inclusion and in diversity, who wants to start the journey to do that. It's just a great book to dive in and to learn about that. You've written it in 4 parts, haven't you, in terms of the progression that the people or the leadership team need to go through in terms of going on that that journey. You've also got some case studies, because one of your case studies I've actually been to quite recently, which is the Richmond Hill Hotel.
Oh, okay, yeah. So yeah, we base the book, The Inclusion Journey, is based around the work that we do, where we take organisations through a journey, because we say there is no one thing you could do, no form you can fill in, box you can tick, 1 hour training course you can do and you're done. It's a journey. You have to get everybody on board. You have to figure out the steps you need to take and really go through all the things you need to do. And the case studies in it, they're not all clients of ours, but Richmond Hill Hotel is a client of ours that we worked with on their inclusion journey. We worked with them over a number of months, and they were a really great story about how they really increased employee engagement through working on this. So yeah, that was a great one.
So if we work through the parts, so part 1 is progress, how to target or how to get things moving in your organization. So talk us about how you would get things going in an organization.
So the first thing you have to do is the organisation has to want to do this. You've got to get the leadership team on board, and that's one of our kind of tests when we're working with organisations is the leadership team, are the leaders really engaged in this? Do they see the point in it? And so we talk about the world around us, why this is important, because this is important for so many reasons. It's not just about filling in a form and doing the right thing. It's because people feel more engaged, they feel happier, they feel more ready to contribute in organisations where they feel like they're included. So you have to do all of that groundwork to really figure out how to engage everybody before you embark on the journey. And we look at, that's why it's very journey themed, the book, because we look at how you do that. How do you engage different people? What are the things you need to do? What are the things you need to look at? What's the data you need as well to get started? Because you need to know what your starting point is before you can decide where you're going to move to. So that's the kind of first section of the book, is looking for sort of preparing for the journey. And then we take you through as you go through the different stages of the book.
I think there's so many things, isn't there, around that diversity and inclusion, and quite often they're not talked about. Because I had someone contact me who said, my company's just been taken over. Can you look at the company that's taken over? Do you think I will fit in? And my response to it was no. And he said, yeah, I'm not going to. He said, that's what I was thinking. I'm not going to. I'm going to go and do my own thing. And I think, what happens is that quite often it's a conversation that took place that company won't know about.
And that's the thing. So
that's the thing, isn't it?
So often employees people will make decisions quite quickly often about whether they want to work somewhere or not, whether they want to stay somewhere or not. And so you have to work on these things to really engage people. So it's something like 58% of people look for diversity and inclusion in employers when they're actually researching where they want to work. And when they say that, they're not looking for that kind of legal statement buried on page 5 of a job description. What they're looking for is, what are they actually doing about it? What's the leadership team look like? What are the values like? What are their goals? What kind of initiatives are they working on? So people really want to see that there's tangible things being worked on. And it's also okay to say we're on a journey. So people don't have to say like we're the perfect employer. As long as people can see that their employer is doing something about it, then they're more engaged in those companies, in those different types of employers. So it's really about those things that might not seem obvious as things you need to work on, but we often talk to companies through our work where they say, we're really struggling to recruit, and we've got loads of people leaving and we can't understand why. And it's often down to all of these things that they haven't considered it.
And I somewhere I've got some, I think it's Career Arc, in a study in 2021 said that 96% of job seekers use social media.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know what the other 4% do, but like if everybody is using social media, then they're coming onto LinkedIn and they're looking at your leadership team on LinkedIn, and they're making decisions about whether you're the right company to work for.
Definitely. And they're looking at what people are saying, what kinds of things the organisation is supporting, what are employees saying as well. Employees are really powerful advocates for their employer. So they're looking at what people are saying before they make decisions about where they want to work.
Yeah. So that's. So what we do is we make sure the organisation understands that they want to do this, and it's got to come from the top down.
Yeah.
And then what we do is that on part 2 is you draw up a journey map to track progress. So talk to us about that.
Yeah, so that again is based on the work that we do, where we then say, okay, so now we need to really delve into this. We need to look at policies, processes, what employees are saying. So employee surveys, workshops, what are clients and partners saying, what's the reputation like? Really gather a lot of insight to figure out the different stages of the organisation and what actually needs to be worked on. And then that helps you to create a roadmap for the change. And for some of the changes, there'll always be some quick things that you can do. So it doesn't all have to be really complex, things that take several years. Some quick things first that help people to see that there is some things happening, and it helps people get more engaged in it. And with that, you also need to then really engage employees, because it can't be delivered by a couple of people. It needs real engagement throughout the organisation. So that next bit is about how do you really figure out what the things you are that you need to work on, and then how do you engage people in it so that they want to join you on the journey and really help deliver on it.
Because we've all been on to those events, haven't we, internally, where people say, we're going to do this, and then you never hear anything.
Yeah, I was at a company just a couple of weeks ago where they said, the thing is we start loads of things and then it doesn't happen. So it's really hard for us to believe in something actually happening. And so what we say is you really have to fix that. There has to be a real drive for change. So in the book, we look at some change management models to help you figure out, how you really drive that change.
And what things can you be doing in that journey map? Because I'm assuming this is a journey, so this could there will be it's going to take 12 months, 18 months, 24 months, but that you need to be looking at these quick wins as well.
Yeah, so if we talk about Richmond Hill Hotel as they're one of the case studies, so we worked with them for around 12 months. So to start with, we did the whole engagement process where we did workshops and surveys and we did all of that analysis. Then we went back to them with the roadmap. We said, here's a lot of the things you could be working on. Some of them they were already doing, actually. Some of them were they had, a suggestions place for employees so that they could say things they thought. Some of them were creating some teams in their organisation amongst their employees so that they could work on things. Some of it was looking at social media content. Some of those things can be quick wins. It could be that there's no subtitles on videos, for example, or it could be things like that can actually be fixed. And then you need to do the more program of change. So with them, we did a training program where all teams did training with us. So we would have mixed groups, which could be people that were working in the bar, people working in the restaurant, people working in the offices, people working housekeeping, all different people all together working and learning together. And it wasn't just one training that they do. They did several things over several months with gaps in between so that they could go and work on things and then come back together. And the fact that they all came together for that training meant they all talked about it, and it created that kind of momentum of change.
Because I've done a course with LinkedIn where they teach you about using LinkedIn as a platform from an inclusion and diversity perspective.
Yeah.
And that's about making sure you understand that people are using screen readers, for example, and to understand a lot of the even to write hashtags in a particular way to support screen readers and stuff like that, which so many people that sighted people just wouldn't probably understand.
Yeah, and there's what we also say about all these things is you're not taking things away from anybody by using these features. You're actually making it a better experience for everyone. Because if you use contrasting colours, well, a lot of people have trouble seeing colours. So they may not declare that, they may not tell you that. So if you make sure your social media and your website uses really good contrasting colours that makes it accessible, you're making a better experience for everyone. So it's really including everyone. So there's those sorts of things that can be worked on quite early on if there's things like that to do. It could be things like, job advert templates, things like that can be sort of early stage things we work on before we get to the sort of bigger things that are going to take more people to drive the change.
So the third part, and some people in the audience may be thinking this already, is that you talk about the problems that you will encounter, because I'm sure there's lots of people that are sitting there, here we go again.
Yeah, and we wrote it in quite a conversational style, the kind of, you might be sitting there thinking, what's the point of this? So you have to consider what bumps in the road there might be. So there's going to be, detractors, people that are rolling their eyes thinking, oh, this is a load of nonsense. Why have I got to do this? There could be people that have just got too much to do. How do you engage them? There could be people that like getting things started, perhaps don't continue with doing things. So you have to really consider all the different ways in which things could stall and go wrong, and how you make sure it keeps moving. What are the things you can do to keep it moving? And some of the case studies in the book talked about that, the fact that you really have to focus on it. You have to have different people in the organization really committed to this and working on it to make sure you continue to drive the change, because otherwise it becomes work that's shelved somewhere and someone says, oh yeah, do you remember when we did that work? Oh look, we've got a problem. We've got nobody applying for our jobs and our productivity is plummeting and we've got no new ideas. Maybe we should go back and have a look at that work. So you have to really think about how to keep it live and working.
And is that about building champions within the organization and because if this is, it's got to be done by the leadership who's going to basically, but in a way it's top down, but also bottom up, isn't it?
Yeah, so what you want is every team having some work they're doing on this and talking about it in their team meetings, and people sort of all around talking about it. Some of the case studies in the book talked about the kind of momentum of change where it starts to sort of spread out to different people if you can really drive things and really make things happen. One of the companies in it is a company called Allegra, who are a tech company, and they talked about the fact that once they got it going and they started working on things, they found there was a momentum and people really then started to engage in it and wanted to work on things themselves.
And the fourth part is about how to celebrate.
Yeah, that was a really interesting one, because so many organizations we work with say they don't celebrate the progress enough. And the celebration of the progress is a way of keeping it moving and keeping the change happening. So we really look at, how to make sure you're saying to people, look at all these great things we've done, look at what's happened, and really celebrating it in different ways, and making sure those celebrations really include everyone too, because it's all part of it, and it's sort of remembering different ways in which you can do things to make sure you engage people. Are your employees all based in the same location? Are they spread around the world? Are they some, mix? So how do you make sure you really engage everybody so everybody feels this change happening and everyone feels part of it? So that journey analogy worked really well for us in the whole book, about how you make sure you're continuing to take people with you and showing people the view, how far you've come.
Yeah, because I think there's so many people that celebrate the end of the year or the beginning of the year or the end of the quarter. And I think it would be, from a leadership perspective, to say, well, okay, we may celebrate those things, but here what we're going to celebrate is the fact that we are more inclusive or more diverse or more supportive in the way that we work. And surely that's a good thing, isn't it?
Yeah, and like Richmond Hill Hotel, one of their key statistics was the fact that the retention rate went up quite dramatically for their employees. So celebrating something like that, saying, isn't it great? Let's celebrate the fact that more people want to stay here and are happy staying here. And, do you know people you want to recommend to work here, and kind of really creating a culture around that. There's different things that you can celebrate along the way, and it can really help then to drive like the next wave of work and the next things you're going to do.
Because if we take Richmond Hill Hotel as an example, they're it's a hospitality. You can go there for a meal. You can stay there, but generally hospitality in the UK, which is where it's based, like a lot of places around the world, find it really difficult to recruit, don't they?
Yeah, really difficult to recruit. I think that's actually worldwide. It's a difficult industry to recruit into. And employees need to feel like this is the place I want to work if they're working in that industry. And actually, employees talking about the fact that it's a great place to work and they're really engaged and they want to stay there and they've been there for a long time and they're happy, those kinds of things will help other people to see, well, maybe that's somewhere I want to work. Creating that culture really helps with that. So that's helped them in all sorts of ways, because for people working in their organization, it's not just about employees, it's how they handle kind of behavior from guests as well, because they could experience all sorts of things. So we did that. We worked through that in the training with them. What do you do if you experience this? How can you make sure you're being really inclusive to guests that arrive as well with different requests? So there's all sorts of things in their world that they have to think about.
Yeah, and I think that what you do, what I found in the book was this, as you say, it's a very conversational style. I can kind of feel that it's like you reading it to me.
Yeah.
And you walk through this process. What I would point out, because we've got 2 minutes left, is that people that are watching this, is that you also have a TEDx talk, don't you?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
So just give us a brief overview about your TEDx.
Yes, in 2 minutes. So it's sort of connected. So I did a TEDx talk, which is available on YouTube and it's on our website. And it's about understanding the power in our differences, because we are all different. And instead of being repelled by somebody who's different to you or walking away from someone who has a different opinion to you, what about if we understood each other more and listened to each other and learned from each other's perspectives? If we did that, then we could really create sort of a power in understanding each other. And it's something I have to practice too, really listening to someone. If they say something I disagree with, like remembering that actually everyone comes from a different perspective, and how can we listen and understand them more? So that's what I did my TEDx talk about. So yeah, do watch that on YouTube.
Because in the TEDx talk, you talk about the fact that where you grew up, you were different.
Yes. So I grew up in deepest East Anglia, where there were not many brown people. And my full name isn't Mo, it's Mousumi.
Yes.
I'm named after a famous Bengali film star, but of course, where I was growing up, no one knew that name. So I was named after this film star that had no reference in East Anglia. And so my name got shortened to Mo.
Because I remember what I was watching it and I was thinking, well, Mo is a very sort of like English name. And I thought, and then you sort of like, then you explained that actually you call yourself Mo because what you had to do was actually fit in.
Yeah. And a lot of a lot of people in the South Asian culture talk about that, because our names are quite different, and so they often get shortened and changed. And as a child, when people say to you, why did you let people change it? And it's like, as a child, though, it takes a lot of courage to say, actually, that's not my name, when you're already feeling different and awkward. So it was a way of kind of fitting in that I think a lot of people do. And I now look back on it and wish I hadn't let people shorten it. But then I've now been Mo for longer than I've been Mousumi. So it would now be weird to just switch back as well.
Yeah, I have a mate who's Devinder, but he calls himself Dave.
Yeah, see, there you go.
And I want to. No. I've been Dave for 30 years now, so I'm going to be Dave for the rest of my life.
But Devinder's a much nicer name.
It is a much nicer name. Yes.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's such a shame, but hopefully more people will start to reclaim their names now.
Hopefully. Yeah. So Mo, thank you so much for coming on and talking to us about your book.
Thank you.
If I wanted to buy a copy, where could I get it?
So it's available at most book retailers. So you can go to Amazon, Waterstones. If you go to the Kogan Page website and put in Kogan Page 20 as the code, you get 20% off. But you'll be able to find it at all book retailers.
Fantastic. And where can we find you?
So our website is watchthispace.uk, and on social media, I'm at Mo Kanjilal. So you'll be able to find me on platforms like LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and places like that.
Thank you so much, Mo, for coming on talking about the book. It's an excellent book. And certainly anybody who's thinking about doing any sort of diversity or inclusion journey within the organization, they've got to read it.
Yes, please read it. That's what we want.
Please buy it. Please buy it. Go to Amazon and buy it.
Yes, exactly.